Welcome back, everybody. Today we're doing Beastie Boys for the first time on the channel.
And we are doing No Sleep Till Brooklyn.
Now, the Beastie Boys are a group that I am familiar with in namesake. I have heard them and their name mentioned because I grew up listening to hip hop, and we know that the Beastie Boys played a big role in the development of hip hop as to where it came to be, but don't really know much about them other than that.
Yes, I've heard of the name before, but I don't know too much about them either. I also don't know too much about hip hop history either. So, I'm more so from like year 2000 and onwards. So this will definitely be new for me.
Yeah, I think the thing for me is like I listen to artists that I listen to talk about the Beastie Boys.
Okay, that's fair. So they were influenced by them.
Right. And I did listen to, hip hop earlier than you did. So, I was really heavy into artists like Nas and Tupac and all that. And so, not that those guys were talking about the Beastie Boys, but, even they would talk about the LL Cool J's and their influence, and LL Cool J would have been in a time period similar to what the Beastie Boys were. So I think that's like, it was a time period where hip hop was evolving, and the Beastie Boys seemingly played a big role in that.
Part of that.
And that is true for sure with this album that this song is from, License to Ill, which was the first rap album to go to #1 on the Billboard Top 200.
Yeah, which is crazy. Big pioneer.
And this came out in 1986. This was released, this song as a single in 1987. Now, this isn't apparently one of their big songs that really did well in the charts.
Yeah,
so
from a charting standpoint.
So we might be starting at a bad place with the Beastie Boys.
Well, you will need to let us know in those comments what else we should check out.
Yeah, but I think it's an interesting one because Beastie Boys No Sleep Till Brooklyn, I believe, is kind of about them and who they are and where they're from.
Yep.
So we'll get a good insight as to who the Beastie Boys are, and then we can come back and do the next one from them. And you guys can let us know down below where we should go next. And anything else you want to add, Sam? Did I forget anything about the Beastie Boys that we wanted to mention?
I don't think so. Just that they're from Brooklyn, and this is supposed to be kind of like a hometown anthem. So
from New York, right? Did they say they were from Brooklyn?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay. Well, No Sleep Till Brooklyn. I would hope so. Anyways, I know the New York City doesn't really sleep, so I don't know. Maybe that's what they're saying too.
Fair.
Let's cut the chit chat here. Let's get into it.
All right. Who the hell are you?
We're the band.
The band? Where's your instruments? What the? We only play rock music here.
Oh, why you dissing, man? Rock and roll!
Yeah, dude, I think we're the band.
I've been waiting for you boys all day. Get on stage.
Yo.
No sleep till!
These outfits. We certainly got some rock influence.
Foot on the pedal, never Air Force metal. Engine running hotter than a boiling kettle. My job ain't a job, it's a damn good time. City to city, I'm a running my ride. On location, touring around the nation. Beastie Boys always on vacation. Instruments in the stable turntable. I do it because I'm millionaire. Ain't no faking, your money I'm taking. Going coast to coast to watch all the girls shaking. And while you're at the job working 9 to 5, the Beastie Boys had the gun cold kicking it live.
Okay.
No sleep till. Another plate, another chain, another bottle in the brain, another girl, another bug, another job. Oh no! My manager's crazy, he always. He's got his own room at the back of the bus. Going around the world, you rock around the clock. Playing the hotels, girls on the job. Trashing hotels like it's going out of style. Getting paid on the way 'cause it was your wife. Fool on the floor, add rocks out the door. SCA's in the back 'cause he's skeezing with a. Gotta say, get a jump with money in his stack. With guys in the front and Brooklyn's in the back. Why that's not right. No sleep till.
I can totally see how anthemic this is.
Yeah.
Obviously the riff itself is high energy, but it's super catchy at the same time. And then they combine that with this really hard kick and snare. It's really, I'm surprised by how hard the kick and the snare is. I mean, I don't know if this has been remastered or anything like that, but it has a lot of pop to it. And, interesting, it reminds me of a little bit of Walk This Way. That we did with
Yes.
Aerosmith and Run DMC.
Yes, it does. It does have similarities to that.
Yeah, well, the combination of the hip hop rocks mix, right?
Yeah.
That's what they played on that in the beginning when the producer is like, you guys aren't the right people for who I want in the music industry, and then they change their image. Oh yeah, it's totally acceptable for you to be here
it's
now.
kind of rock persona.
And that's what they're playing off of, right? Their persona that they probably weren't accepted for the sound that they brought, right? It's genre bending. So, breaking
But I like
into it.
I like the fuse of that together. And like you said, I think that it honestly has potential to be a really great sound because the Aerosmith Run DMC one that we did, I really enjoyed that. And we did, what was the other one that we did where it was Anthrax and
Public Enemy.
yeah, that was also, again, that kind of a genre crossing, right? Again, with the rap rock. And even if you look back and see like Linkin Park and like Jay-Z, right? Like all of those sound really, really good. So I feel like this fusion is actually like an awesome blend.
But clearly they were one of the first to do it, right? And I think that's why they were so influential and so
Yeah.
important, because obviously you have the genre crossover, but it's also a cultural crossover, right? When you're mixing something that probably a lot of people would have classified as being more white culture in rock aura, and then you'd have hip hop culture, which would be black culture. So you're kind of blending the two here from, social norms as
Yes.
well, which I think is cool. And they look like they've got, in this video, I don't know if this is, representative of them as a whole, but a lot of attitude that they come with as well. But it's not like, I don't know. Attitude, I guess, feels a lot different back then and here, and the way it's portrayed of the persona than attitude is today. Like people that
Yeah.
come off like, that they don't give an F today is very, very different than I don't give an F then. It's more of like, I don't know. I guess I can understand it more when they're acting this way. It's like you're not accepting me into the genre that I want to create, and you're trying to push me back. But I'm just trying to make something creative musically, Whereas I think people today are more like, I don't give an F. I'm going to do whatever I want because I want to.
It's my world.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I also find it interesting to see kind of the eras that hip hop went through because there's also the attitude that's like gangster rap attitude, right? And I wouldn't say that this is that either. So it's very different. Also, the comedic value in this, I think, is funny. Like it's interesting how they bring that into the lyrics, but also in the video.
Yeah, I would say that Eminem was probably influenced from that standpoint of the comedic side of hip hop.
Yeah.
Tell Brooklyn, no sleep. Tell Brooklyn, ain't seen the lights since the start of this man's MCA. Get on the mic, my man. Born in Brooklyn, the USA. They call me Adam, yeah, but I'm MCA. Like a lemon to a lime to a lemon, a sip of death ale with all the fire women. In those arenas and TV shows, autograph pictures and classy hoes. Hoes, get out of my way. Tax little girls from here to LA. Wake it up before I get to sleep, 'cause I've been rocking this party 8 days a week. No sleep till. No
What?
sleep till Brooklyn.
Okay.
No
Tell them.
sleep
Okay.
till Brooklyn. No sleep till Brooklyn. No sleep till Brooklyn.
Oh, we got a guitar solo.
Shredding the guitar.
No sleep till Brooklyn. No sleep till Brooklyn. No sleep till Brooklyn. No
liable to get stuck in your head.
Gorilla. Killing me.
The gorilla got the girl and they got the money.
Definitely, like you said, a large anthemic feel to this. I feel like if you lived in Brooklyn, you'd just be loving this one.
Definitely repping the city.
For sure.
And I would say that this would definitely have gotten stuck in your head.
Oh, 100%. Very repetitive, like the lyric portion of it.
Yeah. I always found it interesting too, you know, when you had these songs that called out a certain place in the world, it made you think about that place, right? I remember, obviously, because we grew up in Canada and we don't live there anymore, but grew up there. And I just remember, you know, for such a long time, there were artists in Toronto in the hip hop scene that were really, you know, they were good, but they struggled to make it out into the mainstream. And Canada was never really known as like a hip hop community, even though it really was. And then Drake came on the scene and just like exploded for Toronto. Yeah. And like everybody all of a sudden knew what Toronto was and wanted to go to Toronto. And, and he, I think, played a big role in the development of hip hop being accepted, I would say, in Canada or in Toronto specifically, you know, for the US perspective. Right. And it's just so interesting. Like I said, you said the six, right? And I was referring to Brooklyn here, and obviously, you know, Biggie and stuff like that would talk about Brooklyn. You have Tupac would talk about the West Coast, and it's just hip hop feels like a lot of the time where you're from is super, super important. And it's interesting that obviously they were capturing this from very early on.
For sure. Even later on, like I remember being, you know, in it being like the early 2000s when I was starting to get into that kind of music, and like, no, I'd always be like, nobody ever talks about Toronto. Like everyone's talking about Miami, LA, New York, but I'd always be like, no, but like nobody comes to Toronto. And then, like you said, that didn't change really until Drake and then some other artists started getting more popular. But.
So let us know where we should go next with the Beastie Boys, because I definitely enjoy checking this out. They have a unique sound for sure, very entertaining, lots of energy, and I want to see, you know, the rest of their catalog, because this wasn't commercially successful. So I'd like to know.
Maybe like what some of their biggest hits were.
Yeah, I think I know one of their songs or the chorus of it, because I've heard it play, "The Fight for Your Right to Party." I think I recognize that, but I don't even know if that's the song title. But that would probably be the only piece of the Beastie Boys that I would recognize, and I don't know the whole song of that for sure. So let us know down below where we should go next. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. Have a great day. We'll see you on our next one.
Thanks for watching.